This talk will be by Alan D. Peter and Ursula Nimith from Labnaf on Labnaf data enrichment, KPI and trend calculations for portfolios, risk analysis, strategic planning, and governance dashboard.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you very much, Santosh, for the introduction. We're really happy to be here. So hello to everybody. So there is actually a lot of like fuss and many speculations sometimes about what Labnaf is, etc. So it's actually the unified solution for driving transformations. So it's always the questions like the Superman question: who is it? What is it? So is it a framework? Is it a software? Is it a language, a process, a repository structure, or a collection of dashboards? So actually, it is all of this integrated in a single solution. So that's for the marketing part. Let's move on to the second slide. So what actually is Labnaf? In a few words, Labnaf is a turnkey solution for driving transformation. It is used by very large organizations and by service providers. And what I will do now is to show you a very high-level picture of the process for, as I said, like driving transformations with Labnaf. So it is well known for its enterprise architecture capabilities, and that includes notably all the aspects below. Governance, risk, and compliance come as an extension, that's on the right side. And enterprise architecture and dashboards help you understanding the business in the IT context, so you can then define and execute your strategy. And based on capabilities roadmaps, you create architecture solutions. So this means you can also merge solutions with your enterprise architecture catalogs. For today's demo, we will focus on the tools used to enrich the repository, to consolidate data, to generate implicit data, to calculate, for example, KPIs, and to create powerful dashboards. And to show you how this works, we'll demonstrate some Labnaf governance, risk, and compliance features. And that includes, as you can see right now, information security governance, on one hand, and on the other hand, business continuity governance. This means you can configure the data enriched tools to do whatever you wish or want. Okay, so let me show you this in kind of like case study. And some of you might know already this BOPCO example. So our case study is the BOPCO governance dashboards, so to say. So what is BOPCO? It is an operating company. They are operating in Sardinia, somewhere in the north. For confidentiality purposes, this is a fictitious organization for sure with fictitious data and fictitious problems, but they came from praxis. So behind BOPCO, there are some very large public and service organizations. They selected Labnaf as a standard solution. So what exactly is BOPCO facing? It is actually facing some governance challenges. This means a few months ago, they created a Labnaf spot diagram like the one you see here. And problem one is that the goals that they defined are not achieved. The second problem is a poor business continuity. And the third problem is a risk of non-compliance penalties. So what does this mean? They need to provide visibility on which business processes and information are at risk, and also visibility on the supporting IT systems. And to make sure that these problems are being properly addressed, we need some governance tools. So That means, as we already know, that we need some dashboards and reports on that to know what's going on. And Labnaf lets us enter, import, and relate data from different sources. So this means that data can be also normalized, related, and consolidated so that the dashboards can help decision making. You will now have an overview of the enterprise management cockpit. In this dashboard, we will start with the goals governance charts. This chart compare goals following the level of achievement, and the chart shows normalized KPIs. So this KPI normalization is using actually a simple calculation. Let's start. That's BOPCO's, you remember, BOPCO's first problem is that goals are not achieved. So for governance purposes, they created a chart with normalized goal achievement indexes. This means that different goals are using different measures of success. For example, the measure can be costs, or the number of incidents, or the rate of systems availability, and so on. The present goal is to increase customer retention, and the measure of success is the number of customers retained by 1,000 customers in 1 year. And now, listen carefully. The current KPI is 915 customers retained every year. It was initially 900, as you can see on the left side, and BOPCO wants to achieve 950 customers retained. But this number of customers cannot be compared with IT costs. That's very important to know. So the KPIs must be normalized so that they can be compared. So what you see here is a normalized goal property. In this example, it is called the KPI current index. And this KPI normalization is just an example of property value calculation. So what does this mean? You can now calculate properties based on any other properties, either from the same element or from any combination of connected elements. This case is simple because all properties come from the same element. So thanks to this KPI normalization goal, achievements can be compared, and governance, so to say, is then actually enabled. And since this was really theoretical, I will make space for Alain, who will now show you how this works.
Thank you, Oshoya, and hello to everyone. So this dashboard is BOPCO's enterprise management cockpit. This is used to summarize the current situation, the different concerns, and also the results of the ongoing actions. Now, catalogs and diagrams already provide a lot of information, but BOPCO management cannot make decisions with all these details. So information is consolidated, that means calculated, and it is then summarized in dashboards. There are many dashboards. The information that you see in this dashboard, the cockpit, is the result of cascaded calculations and implicit data generation. And as everything changes, BOPCO can quickly create and adapt calculations. While adapting these calculations, BOPCO can, in a few seconds, create, rename, and delete element properties. And the same for metamodel connections. So what you see on top of this dashboard, you see the total TCO, the total cost of ownership for all applications, which is calculated, the most expensive applications, the number of applications under construction, the total number of incidents, the number of individuals that need access to confidential info, and the same for private information. And these are menus which lead to sub dashboards. If I want to see detailed about private information, I can see here what and who needs access to private information. And for instance, if you want to see the individual that needs to access to highly private information, can just zoom in and I see who that is. So you can do the same for application, for servers, for network, for process, roles, everything. Right, so this menu there is following the structure of the Labnaf process of driving transformation. In this process, it starts, one of the important aspects is the context analysis and diagnosis. So you need to know where you are before defining where you want to go, of course. So you see, we had these goals, this SWOT defined. So the internal part and the external part of the context. Internal context, external context of the organization. And this is actually this is summarizing detailed assessment that you can see here, that we made using different types of view, different viewpoints, different views. And all the items that you can see are assessment elements, which were actually flattened automatically by the in the template by the template diagram. Right. Now you can, if you want to see in the repository, okay, this is the repository that the dashboards are using. It's also following the process of driving transformation, enterprise architecture, strategy definition, strategy execution, solution architecture, all the projects. So if I go to the, yes, actually, this is the description of the enterprise as is and to be transition. This is the vision to define where the enterprise needs to be in the future. These are the projects, solution architecture that will realize the vision and effectively change the enterprise. So this is all connected, full traceability across across the entire process. So I can go to the vision to see the strategy definition. Okay, the SWOT again, the mission and other things. Okay, if I go to the, yes, this SWOT, where is it? It's there, it's the SWOT defined at the corporate level, but domain managers and domain architects also define some domain-specific SWOTs. And there is one missing for travel communication. So I will quickly add it. I will add a SWOT diagram. You can see all the types of, these are all the perspectives, okay, people, applications, so on, with all the different viewpoints. In this case, I select vision, SWOT, and I create a SWOT view, a SWOT diagram. Okay. Now, you've seen that this diagram is quite, was created with a lot of embedded related packages, a structure of packages even, with defined elements, predefined elements. So this is based on a template that you can define and change as you want. It's just a model that you change. And if the diagram that you create has a related template associated, then it will automatically use it to create your diagram. Sometimes it's needed when it's complicated, when there's a lot of layout and elements, packages to be created. Right, so you can always look for contextual guidance to know how each viewpoint needs to be laid out and what questions and how it is used and so on. So these are all the actually all the viewpoints here that exist in Labnaf. And you can see also how viewpoints are related. So the viewpoints, the types of diagram, influence each other. So there's a flow of viewpoints. So the transformation process is a flow of viewpoints. And you can always look at information for how to create or to lay out some specific viewpoint. You see all the ways of modeling a process. For each viewpoint, there is a list of questions that this type of view answers, and the elements that you can use in this type of view. And if I actually drill down from process to activities, I can now see the BPM and modeling that refines the processes. And you can see also how different concepts from different standards were semantically merged using system semantics, by the way. Okay. Now, if I go back to the dashboard, to the dashboard, sorry, dashboard, it's there. Okay. One of the goals, one of the assessment that was made, we start define goals are not achieved. This is what Oshoya show you. So, and for to address this problem, to govern this, they created this goals level of achievement chart that you have seen. Now, how we will see practically this calculation working. So I will go to the dashboard again, so it's to the model again. So this is to for instance, if you want to look at how business continuity influences the goal, so you see the relationship between the assessment and the goal that is influenced by this assessment. So you defining a goal because you made this assessment, and you see this assessment in this case is not flattened. This is calculated. You see the color that corresponds to the value. The value is there. Current index is 1. So if I change the value here, I put 95, and I can calculate from the model, but it's actually not how it is done. This is for testing, and you see that automatically this will be changed to, well, the value is now 4. So the color changes as well. If you want to see where this calculation is defined, you can see in the controlled element values there. So goals, value control. So it's just a simple arithmetic calculation, and you assign that to an attribute, and that is a set that defines a set of calculation that needs to be performed periodically. They are scheduled, so you can see that all the type of calculations, you have several type values that it needs to be calculated for application, for instance. Okay, now what we can do, we can also go back to the this goal there. We change the value to 88, back to 88. But now, instead of running the calculation using the user interface, we will run a Labnaf PowerShell command. There are many commands. So this will run the calculations. I can run it from here. Okay, goal properties. So you can create scripts like that with lots of commands. The sequence is important, of course. And you can schedule these scripts as well. Now, when you start the Labnaf PowerShell command, it takes some time, or a little bit, because it's just the opening of the repository that takes some time, but you see the calculations are really quick. 27 goals have been processed. So now if I refresh this diagram, reload, you see the value has changed to 1. Okay, that, and if you want to see all the commands, actually it's on the, these are all the Labnaf PowerShell commands that you can use. There are a lot of different parameters that you can use. So it can do a lot. It's available on the Labnaf website. Right. So now Orshia will provide you with an overview of the Labnaf goal realization. How are these goals realized in the Labnaf process of driving transformations? It's just a subset of the process of driving transformation. So I will share the panel now with Orshia. Okay. Hello, Orshia.
Yeah, hello back. So, so what does it mean that BobGo actually defines some goals, and how do these goals actually lead to target capability roadmaps and solution architecture? So what do we have to do? We need to translate these goals into target capabilities. And target capabilities are actually high-level requirements. So they are needed by program managers to create target capability roadmaps. And SMART goals are then realized by target capabilities. As an alternative, you can map them to goals to stakeholders' demands, and then map those demands to target capabilities. So what does this mean? When applicable, it is also useful to map target capabilities to value stream stages in order to process. So this means that business capabilities realize value stream stages and target capabilities impact business capabilities. Please note that Labnaf business capabilities is a bit different, have a different shape at each level. We've got level 1, 2, 3, 4 till 5. So this means when impact will these target capabilities have on the operating model? So what impact will these target capabilities have on the operating model? This means that you can define how target capabilities create, change, or eliminate items in the operating model. So in the present case, an application needs to be changed and a new process needs to be created. Simple fact. Target capabilities get a start and end date, and based on this date, these target capabilities roadmaps are then automatically uploaded, and you can even create alternative roadmaps, if you wish. Another thing is these dates are based on priorities, dependencies, and Another thing is resource availability. So what you see here, these target capabilities are then grouped into epics, architecture projects, if you want. So epics also get a start and end date, so they automatically appear in the roadmaps of epics for sure. So what happens next? So epics delivers solution architecture specification. A solution architecture starts from a template folder structure. Architects reuse content from shared catalogs, as you can see here. And when this is done, the architecture solutions are smartly merged back into the shared catalog. So we went through a demo showing a simple calculation, and what will happen now is Alain will show you now a demo, more advanced features.
Okay. Hello, thank you, Orshaya. So I will carry on. So back to this SWOT again. So to address this poor business continuity issue, Labnaf created, or Bobco, sorry, created this chart that shows this actually report that shows the list of high-level processes showing their availability and their required availability. So you can they can see the discrepancies between availability and required availability. So I can go to a sub-report here to see for this customer journey process, which are the supporting application and what is again the availability and required availability. So the availability of the process there is calculated based on the supporting applications directly, the application that directly or indirectly support this process. I can show you that in this diagram here. You see this application indirectly support the process. It could be any level of process and activities as well. So activities which are detailing the processes. Right. So now if I go back to this here, what I can do, I can change, for instance, we see that this process has very low availability. So because of that, the customer journey has very low availability. So it takes the lowest value from all the applications. That's what Bobco decided to do in that calculation. You do whatever you want. So if I want to change the process, well, if I change the availability of the application there to 3, for instance, save, and I run another calculation here that will made plenty of calculations on all the processes. Actually, there's only one here. One calculation on all the processes in the repository. Again, it takes some time to open the repository. And you will see that the availability here is being recalculated. Wow. Okay, 39 elements have been processed. Again, it's something that you normally do in the background using a server that schedules these comments. And now if I refresh the report, you can see now this application was no longer very low but medium, and the customer journey availability is low. It took the lowest value, but this time it's not very low but low, and it's coming from this application this time. Okay, now that was one way to yes. Oh no, first of all I want to show you the yes. So the goal calculation was very simple. It's just an arithmetic calculation. Okay, now this process is much more complicated because it needs to go down to actually seven levels of process and activity details, and follow the connectors, and then get the calculations, and then calculate. So it's much more sophisticated. Now, what you can do as well, if you want to load, if you want to change properties, you can also import a report. But so you can select file, you can have mapping, column mappings as well. But to show you how to, can do it from here as well, to show you how to create such import file, I can show you how to generate one first to see the format. So you see there are some predefined reports, that be Excel or CSV. If you want to see one of them, okay, quickly you can locate the template there. You can see how it looks like. Okay, you can see how you model these templates, and when you run them, you get something like that, including relationships. So this is all done automatically. Sorry, it moves a bit too much. Huh? I agree. Okay, so I go back to the form here, but instead of generating a predefined form, I want to create a custom report with availability, and I want to view the related document at the end. So I generate it, so you will see what a generated report looks like in Labnaf. So this is a very simple one. So there is a right, and now I wanted to, for instance, add, so you can change the availability so that you can import it. But what I do here, I will also at the same time add a vendor property. Okay, and I can type, for instance, SAP. Okay, like that, zooms. Okay, like that, and now Odoo, let's say Odoo competitor. Okay, up. And it's done. Okay, I say it, and here I can directly, in a row import the form. Are you sure you want to import? Yes, I import. Okay, it updated 38 lines. And what you will see is that the applications have actually they have a new property that has been automatically added. So it was vendor, you see. So you don't need to update your language when you calculate or when you import, when you do implicit data generation, the properties are automatically added. But what you can also do, you can also, for instance, what am I doing that? You can also use the instance metadata manager to add the properties. For example, I take application again, and I want to add a new property. So you have a list of defined tagged value types. I add this one, and I press add new property, which means that the property is not only added to the type of element, but also to all the element instances in the repository. And you can easily rename if you want to say it's not migration to or migration, but yes, migration to whatever. It's update the type, but but also all the instances automatically. You can see now. I think take this one for instance. See, it has migration. What was it? I forgot it. What did I add? Cloud migration. Yes, cloud migration. See, it's there. It was renamed automatically already. Okay. I can do the same for processes and so on. Whatever you want. Yes. No. Yes. Actually. Yes. The what's important to know as well. It's using the template packages and template element behind the scene. So if you have several ones defined, you can log them for certain groups so that only, for instance, the business architects can change processes and the enterprise architects can change the properties of applications. So you do whatever you want. Right. So the next demo is I go back to the cockpit. I should close this one. I go back to the cockpit that is there. Okay. Yes, there is a for governing the business continuity. There is also an application availability dashboard there. So this one is showing the incidents, the number of incidents, the application incidents consolidated at level 1 business capability. So it calculates, you import the number of incidents, but also actually the history of incidents in the applications, and then you consolidate at that level and at that level and at that level. So each level is a different type. Each level of business capability is a different type. It has a different name with functional domain, functional area, functional block, functional category, functional service. So it's important for the architects, for different people managing these business capabilities, but it's also important for all the engine, the Labnaf engine, because you need to assign specific calculation at each level, because the calculation consolidated there is not the same as in there. You see, so that's very important. So there is something else that yes, I can show you, for instance, in the repository. If I go to an application, where was it? Okay, you can see, for instance, the time series values here. So these are dates followed by a value, and you can not only calculate on simple values, but also on time series, so on groups of time series. And the result of that is this. So that is charts which are also generated. So you can Labnaf lets you create chart templates, and these chart templates can use time series. So that's what's happening here. So based on the imported history of incidents, so it generates automatically a chart, a time series chart. There's another one for another time series. And then there is this consolidation of time series at each level up to level 1 business capability, so that the domain managers and the domain architects who are in charge of this domain can see how things are evolving in their domain, and they can drill down. And as I said earlier, you've put in your dashboard the elements that for which you have some concerns. So you don't put all the Labnaf generates this chart for every element that you want to. You don't want to show them all in the dashboard because you want to focus on the problems and on the concerns that you have, specific domains, specific applications, maybe. Okay. Now, next thing, in terms of business continuity, is right. How to we saw how to calculate the availability, but what about the required availability? So this one is calculated. This one uses implicit data generation. To explain how that works, I will use another repository that I forgot to open, of course. Okay, I will open it now. So this is another repository that I used just for that purpose, so that you can understand the concept. So the result of this, at the end of the day, is that, well, at the end, after implicit data generation, these charts are actually updated. So the access to private information, for instance, information availability, is automatically updated. So all this information is generated by the implicit data generation. So this is the required availability that has been calculated. I will show you how that works in this other repository. Where is it? This one. Okay. So here you can see that you can actually define information security requirements that constrains information entities. So it's a very simple example here, and you can. These are all the information sensitivity considerations that you can use, and so you can provide a value to each of them. So this is a requirement that you set to restrict the access to this element, but you can of course apply it to many elements. Now you can see that this order is accessed by this process. This order is also exchanged between these two elements, and this as an. Oh, by the way, these two here actually well, this one is a new version of that one. What I will do, I will quickly merge them because I don't need the old version. So I can say I keep the version 2. Version 1 will be version 1 will merge into version 2, including the common connectors that they have, because they're exactly the same. So the connectors will be automatically merged. So it's done. Okay. So what you can see here as well is that this process is part of this other process. So important to notice before I generate. And so what I will do is actually discovery and valuation of assets that are potentially at risk. So discovery and valuation of assets. These are essential assets, information, process and information, and IT elements are supporting assets. This is typical security terminology. So now what I do implicit data generation. Okay, these are all the kind of connector generation that you can do. By default, they are all checked. The risk information that is generated, I click update implicit data. So I do it again using the user interface, but everything I'm doing in the user interface can be scripted and scheduled. So this is how it's done normally. But this is just for testing and demonstration. Okay, so it's actually generating data not only for this little package there, but also for the other ones there, which are richer. So what did you see here? What it did, it generated implicit aggregation to show that or each element that is actually using this this data. And this one is using it explicitly, but this one uses it because it owns that one, so it uses it as well. So the application exchanges this order, so they use it. I can, for instance, want to see some more information. I can set this property, and I can see privacy, confidentiality, integrity, availability, non-repudiation, everything, every asset in the repository is automatically rated in terms of sensitive data usage. And if you want, you can even say, I want to add some legend because I want to focus on certain items. For instance, I want first to add the information security requirements level so that I can see what that means. I want to see information security requirements. Okay, I need to, of course, save the chart, the diagram. I don't want it to change automatically. And I can also add, for instance, I want to focus on confidentiality. So I add a dynamic legend, an auto legend that will automatically color the diagram. I can also do is to hide and show the generated connectors. If I hide, see, I can easily hide and connect. So yes, I didn't save the diagrams. Okay, I save it. So show hide. Okay, and you can see what was done in the other diagram. So this is a more complex one. You can see it goes through all different perspectives of the architecture, including the servers, the networks, everything. So this network is part of that network. Yes, everything is automatically evaluated. So important for compliance for the GDPR, for instance. Okay, and that's how actually these charts are generated. This is the data that these charts are generated, and this is how then this required availability is well generated as well. One last thing that we can do with the Labnaf that is very important as well is that you can, as I said, everything needs to be very dynamic because you need to quickly be able to quickly change your calculation. So you need to quickly change your and rename delete properties, but also add and delete connectors very rapidly. So this is the same for the metamodeling. You can very quickly add metamodel connections. So the metamodel is just what can I show you from here? Okay, I can show you, for instance, one of the no, it's the focus. Okay, standard metamodel specification. Okay, the metamodel is very large because the process is very large. You see that the metamodel is expressed using the language, the end user language itself, so the modeling language of the end user. If I want to say that, for instance, I want the contracts to also apply to equipment, types. I want to add equipment type. I add equipment type here. Okay, and I can simply say that equipment type needs to have needs to be included in a process. So fine, I add the connection, and I can simply know it means that the metamodel has been updated. So it's that simple. Labnaf Instant Metamodel Manager, and I can even show what has been changed automatically. All the changes you made to the metamodel is automatically shown in a diagram. And you can, yes, okay, there are many things you can do, but what it does also, you can also change the list of connectors that must be unique between two elements, and you can even change the quick linkers verbs that are used when you connect elements. So quick linkers validation is dynamically updated once you update the metamodel, and the metamodel specification and the configurations is one and the same thing. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Yes, one last thing, specialized managed technologies. So as a Labnaf user, I only need Labnaf, nothing else. And UML, if I want to refine architecture into detailed design, I just use UML or SysML for that. That's it. So you don't have to spend years trying to merge all these languages, standards, and so on. It's all done. Okay, no, I will share my screen, the scene, the stage with Oshoya. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us pretty much to an end, but let's summarize how this all works. To enable decision-making, you need rich data that can then be summarized and presented in dashboards and reports. We know that. So Labnaf can automatically import, validate, cascade calculations, generate implicit data, as we already know, connectors and diagrams, perform 360 degrees analysis of sensitive data usage and related risks, and you can export content to external systems. So Labnaf can either schedule these tasks or you can run these on demand. Labnaf can either schedule these tasks or run on demand. So as a result, we can display useful dashboards, as what you see here on the right side, and reports and optimize. For that, you are able to optimize decision making. The other thing is that you can script and schedule data enrichment and distribution by using, as you have heard already, the Labnaf PowerShell. And you will find detailed documentation on the Labnaf website, www.labnaf.com. So that brings me to my last slide. We actually cannot see you, but we thank you all for sharing your time with us this afternoon, this morning, this evening, whatever your case may be. Please feel free to contact and to learn more and to schedule a demo. So right now we're available to answer your questions. So Santosh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Alan and Australia, for sharing your valuable insights. So we have a few questions. So let me read out the first question from Crystal West. Will the authoritative data actually be pulled from a system into Spark CA to calculate the KPIs?
So will the question was, sorry, I was opening Slack, sorry.
Will the authoritative data actually be pulled from a system into Spark CA to calculate the KPIs?
Yes, indeed. So, so what customers do is that they connect the CMDB or whatever other systems, monitoring systems, to the database, but to do that, they use the imports from the schedule imports using the Labnaf PowerShell script. So they typically do it every night, depends what it is. And then the calculation follows. So, and then the report or the, you typically start with imports, calculate implicit data generation, report generation. Well, you can create backups. There can plenty of things you can do. But the sequence is important.
Yep, thank you. And we have a follow-up question from Crystal West. Does your team leverage actual data from an authoritative source to report on progress against your KPIs, or the actuals manual enter into Spark CA?
Yes, so the information is again automatically imported. Everything we don't well, there are some things that you can, of course, that you would typically change in the dashboard, for instance, in a collaborate form, for instance. But most things are automatically imported, and then calculation follows. As I said, it's always the same. Everything is actually automated, so the users don't have much to do. That's the goal. Okay. I could show, if people are interested, I can show you a typical sequence of Labnaf script actions, and so see also how it is, how the scheduling works. So there is a default script and a default schedule. So even that is pretty fine, but you can change it as you wish.
Okay, and once again, thank you, Alan and Australia, for sharing your valuable insights. I also want to acknowledge the active participation and engagement of our audience. Thanks, everyone. If you have any questions or want to dwell deeper into this topic, we have set up a dedicated Slack channel for you. This is your opportunity to connect with Alan and Australia, share your thoughts, and engage in meaningful discussions. If you still need to join the meeting room in Slack, please join Slack through the link provided in the chat box. Our speaker is eager to continue the discussion and answer your questions. So don't hesitate to jump in and make the most of this opportunity in Slack meeting room. Thank you once again for your active participation, and I look forward to seeing you in the Slack channel and of course in future session throughout the summit. Thanks to all.